Okay, I'd like to begin the Metro North meeting for the month of October. We have one public speaker, Murray Bowden, concerned grandparents, talking on the capital program.
Good morning. My name is Murray Bowden, and I represent concerned grandparents, which is to say the generations that follow. I'm concerned about looking at the capital program, what's not in it. What's not in it is a new station underneath the Tappan Zee Toll Plaza, intermodal. Bus rapid transit is coming. In fact, it's here, but we're not planning for it in Westchester. And I think that's a reason why, Howard, and I have to say I don't think you're at fault at this, but you're going to have to take the blame for it. No, I thought a lot about asking about you being retired, and I think that you're caught in a trap. They've had rail on the Tappan Zee Bridge forever, and they can't get it off. And Metro North is still advocating rail on the Tappan Zee. This is a sample of yellow line that I'm going to put down on the Sprain Parkway exit because they can't correct the lines on the road. I have a year and a half worth of information for DOT. They can't get this one single line repainted yellow. They have a white line against a guardrail. Well, you can't cross a white line on the left safely if there's a guardrail there. So I'm going to go out and do this myself, and I hope I'll get arrested. But the point is, New York State DOT cannot plan anything significantly because they can't get 160 feet of line replaced. If they can't get one piece of line replaced, they can't plan anything for the 287 corridor. So until you get rid of DOT planning the Tappan Zee replacement, we get nowhere. There's a one-seat ride coming from Rockland County through Secaucus to the new Penn Station tunnel. Rail never belonged on the Tappan Zee. You can't get it off the agenda. You're planning bus lines in the center lanes instead of on the outside. If we can't get that fixed, somebody has to change. You've got 34th Street bus lanes on the outside work excellently. Fordham Road works excellently. There's a Taconic corridor that needs buses. There's a 684 that needs buses. There's a Sprain Parkway that needs buses. Why we're focusing on 287 to the detriment of everything else in Westchester is beyond my comprehension. So until somebody stands there and says, enough, we don't need any more cars, we need bus service. And Don, somewhere, the Beeline bus has to become part of MTA. Everybody in Westchester is voiding the question of whether Beeline buses will be integrated. Peter Calico stood here 8 years ago and said, I want to see buses from Patchogue to Poughkeepsie. You got all the New York City buses integrated. Long Island Bus said, we want to be fully integrated, we want out. Nassau County said it 2 days ago. And yesterday I heard from Westchester, we still want to have our bus service. Let's cut the kidding ourselves and deal with reality. Thank you.
Thank you. I need a motion to approve minutes of September 21st. Second, all in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Work plan hasn't changed. Status of operations.
Yeah. Before Bob does that, let me just make a couple of comments. First, I just wanted to welcome to the meeting two people who, one you've known and one is new to MTA, part of Jay's new senior staff. First, Charlie Monheim is Chief Operating Officer in the back, and Frederica Cuenca, who is the acting Chief of Staff. I think most people know Frederica. So I want to welcome you both today. A couple of points I want to make, a couple of highlights. First off, mention that we had a very successful opening of the Harmon Locomotive Shop a few weeks ago. The Harmon Coach Shop will be opening in a couple of weeks. These are major improvements where we maintain our coach and locomotive fleet. We will also now be doing most of our M7 work in the coach fleet. So this is a major step forward in our ability to maintain the fleet. We had a very good week of introduction to the facilities for our employees. It was highlighted by an event that I was at. Norman joined me along with other labor leaders and other senior staff. And so we're off to a very good start in the coach shop. I'm sorry, in the locomotive shop. Secondly, that since we last met, we've had a successful operation on a number of our Meadowlands trains. We've now had 3 weekends. Is that right, Bob? Yes. Yeah, 3 weekends of service, taking people from the New Haven line through to Secaucus, where they get the transfer to New Jersey Transit. The operation has gone very well. We are over the next few weeks, we'll be having the next game is November 1st, next 1 o'clock game, and then again on November 15th. With regard to the service to Yankees East 153rd Street for the baseball games, that has been an enormous success. In the playoffs now, we're carrying between 4,500 and 5,500 people to the games. That translates to between 10 and 15% of all people at Yankee Stadium are taking Metro North to get there. Our operating division, along with customer service, has done a terrific job in providing service. To give an example, the game on Saturday night finished after 1 o'clock. We had people leaving, the last trains were leaving Yankee Stadium at 2 o'clock, and we shut down our service at 2 o'clock at a Grand Central. And so we're constantly working, and Bob's folks and George Oakvat, who's in the back, who works on the information side, we're constantly juggling how to operate services. We don't know if the game's going to be rained out. We find out the day before. Times are changing, and so I just want to highlight to you, it's a very difficult operation, but we've done a terrific job at that, and people love the Yankee Stadium service. And finally, I want to mention, and Ron will talk about it later, we've reached an important milestone on the M8 project. The first pair of pilot cars will be shipped from Japan on a freighter that leaves on October 28th. So Ron's going to talk more about that in his part of the meeting, but I just want to highlight that as an important milestone for the project and for Metro North. Okay.
Since the Meadowlands trains to the game have been so successful, are we thinking about doing any trains to rock concerts? Because they certainly get a lot of people.
Yeah, they do. It's really a different circumstance, Susan. The issue is that we can do a 1 o'clock Sunday game because New Jersey has extra equipment. For the rock concerts that are during the week, there's no extra equipment. So we don't have anything to really operate.
Same reason why we can't do a Monday night football game or a Sunday night football game.
Or a 4 o'clock Sunday.
Or even a 4 o'clock game on Sunday.
New Jersey Transit is the problem, they don't have the...
Right. By the time after the game, we take our people home to New Haven, the equipment can't get back down to Trenton, New Jersey.
We should be clear. The issue is, Jim, the issue is us. They are loaning us the equipment. It's their equipment that they use for service, and so they need it. Now, if we had our own fleet, we wouldn't depend on them to provide the service, to provide the fleet so you can have the service. Our engineers operate the trains to Penn Station. Their engineers operate the trains from Penn Station south into New Jersey. So we actually change crews in Penn Station.
I still think that that's a wonderful joint operation, and you're to be congratulated that we managed to get that kind of regionalism going.
Yeah, thank you.
Status of operations.
Good morning, everyone. The status of the operation is outlined on page 12A in your handbook. September, we had an excellent month. Overall, we ran at 98.2%, which was above our goal of 97.6. All categories were above goal. Of the 30 days in September, we operated below 95% only 3 times, and 98.5% of our consists operated as full consists. On the west of Hudson, we operated overall at 96.1%, which was 1/10 below our goal of 96.2. The Port Jervis operated at 95.5, above goal of 95. However, the Pascack was at 96.5, which was below their goal of 97. But overall, year-to-date, we are above goal and doing well. MDBF is outlined on page 13 in your handbook, and that's a very good story. August, we finished at 167,607 miles, which is above our goal of 105,000. We've completely recovered now from the problems we had in the winter through March, and with the successive months of being above goal, we are now year-to-date above our goal, slightly, but we are above our goal of 105,000. So if you have any questions, I'll be free to answer them. If not,
Any questions?
Hi, Bob.
hello.
I note with pleasure that the standees on the New Haven are down for the month of September, and that's certainly a good thing. And I'm sure that has everything to do with your ongoing programs to keep those cars.
Yes, the CSR program that has increased our reliability by a good 40% over the non-CSR cars. So yes, we've gotten good results from that program.
Thank you. The thing I wanted to follow up with was just maybe an explanation as to why, in your judgment, the standee problem is primarily occurring in the PM as opposed to the AM. I know you have overnight to work, but it seems to me that the trains are laid up in either case off the rush hours.
I'll address that because that has come up repeatedly over the years. And really, as you mentioned, for the AM peak, everything is lined up and everything goes out as planned at this point, pretty much at this point in time, and we have very few standees in the morning. The afternoon standees tend to be a very limited number of incidents where, let's say, during the afternoon when stuff's been out there running around all day,
We lose some equipment throughout the day.
We lose some equipment. There's a mechanical failure which causes us to have to substitute a different train for an evening peak train than we originally had planned, so that we don't annul the train, and you end up with, let's say, 2 cars less or 1 car less, and you end up with some standees.
Thank you.
And that doesn't happen frequently, but when it does, it creates, given how crowded the New Haven Line trains is, it creates a bunch of standees on one train.
Any other questions? Thanks. Kim?
Good morning. The August 2009 financial report begins on page 20 through 21. For year-to-date August, the net deficit for non-reimbursable activity is favorable to the mid-year forecast by $20 million or 4%. For the results of the month of August against the mid-year forecast, we continue to see recent trends which we've discussed in the past. Ridership is down by 5.3%, unfavorable to the mid-year forecast. And this level is seen to be consistent with the month of July, which is indicating that these declines may be leveling off as compared to the mid-year forecast. Bob will cover further details on ridership. On a positive note, offsetting these declines is that other operating revenues continue to perform better than projected in the area of receiving higher GCT retail revenues and higher advertising revenues. Also, spending on labor and non-labor categories have also been lower than projected. We are seeing some real savings being generated in the area of lower net payroll and overtime spending after providing for coverage on vacancies, vacation, and holiday. Also, lower health and welfare premium payments, lower traction and propulsion power compared to projected prices, lower New Jersey transit subsidies. These are also driven by lower prices on diesel fuel. So in summary, year-to-date cash net deficit for August is also favorable by $20.5 million or 8%. And that concludes my report. I'll be here to answer any questions you have.
Any questions? Done.
Unrelated
It's inaccurate. It's inaccurate. Our next meeting is scheduled for Monday, November the 16th at 8:30 a.m.
Monday, November 16th.
Yes. Yeah, we've tried to coordinate them, but that has been moved back and forth to a point where we were.
Confused. I had 2 dates for this meeting too, and I had it.
Well, that was we made that known at the last meeting that this one had changed.
So it's Monday the 16th. For the morning.
Right. Which I believe you'll find is our normal date, as opposed to the abnormal date.
The new norm.
Yeah. Monthly ridership.
Good morning. The monthly ridership report is in your book starting on page 34. August ridership east of Hudson was down 6.4% compared to last year. Compared to 2 years ago, 2009 ridership is still slightly above 2007 levels, so we're actually running a little bit ahead of 2007. Year-to-date ridership is off 4%. Through August, but compared to 2007, we're up 0.2%. So we've kind of fallen back to 2007 levels overall in 2009. Commutation continues to do worse than non-com ridership. Non-commutation was down 7.8% in August, whereas non-com ridership was off 4.5%. Of particular concern continues to be, as we've discussed in previous meetings, is the intermediate ridership, particularly intermediate commutation. Intermediate commutation in the month of August was down almost 17%, while intermediate non-com ridership actually was up slightly in the month of August. So that continues to be a very soft market for us, and there's no sign of that trend starting to bottom out at this point. We're watching it month by month. The connecting services that are in your book, the managed connecting services, Hudson Rail Link was down 3.4%, which is actually better than the year-to-date trend, which was down 6.7%. Haverstraw Ferry down 11.8%, down 10.1% for the year, and Newburgh Beacon Ferry is down 19% both for August and for year-to-date. We don't have August numbers for west of Hudson, so the same numbers are in the book that you saw in September, the July numbers. Any questions?
Yeah, you say we're about level with 2007.
Right.
2008 was a
Big growth year.
big growth year, so in effect, we're comparing it to that big growth year. We're not doing well, but we fall back to the 2007 year. We're
Right.
doing about the same.
Yeah, the 4% drop we're seeing this year is basically the mirror image of the 4% growth we were seeing through August last year.
Okay. Any questions? Okay. Capital.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning. The highlights, the capital program highlights are on page 44 of your agenda book, and I have a few updates. Beginning with parking, the Cortlandt parking project, the abatement work is complete on the structure that is coming down, and the contractor's field mobilization is underway. On the Hudson Line stations, Phase 2B, which is Phillips Manor, Scarborough, and Ossining, that work is ongoing. We're in the last phase of that project. At Tarrytown Station, the stimulus job, which is the platforms and the overpasses, we've taken Track 3 out of service for the railroad to do surfacing and the contractor to do the demolition work of Track 3 platform on that. And that outage will last until next August. Poughkeepsie Station improvements, the utility package, which was the second contract of 3 for that particular location, the sewer and gas line, that work is substantially complete this month. West of Hudson, our bridge rehabilitation, 4 of the 5 piers that were being reconstructed as part of this project were concreted and recast. The catenary structure job on the New Haven line, which are the structures in New York State, that work is substantially complete this month. GCT elevators, the work is begun. It's ongoing, actually, in Hall D right now. And as Howard mentioned, on shops and yards, the locomotive shop is fully operational, and the coach shop, maintenance is to begin there early next month. They're actually moving in now to the coach shop. And now I have something that I'd like to talk about and show you. Okay, magic. Howard mentioned that the M8 cars are ready to be delivered. The first 2 pilot M8 cars will be shipped on October 28th. Those cars will be at sea for about a month, and then they'll be unloaded in Baltimore. They will be shipped without, let's see if I can do this, without their trucks. The wheels and the propulsion and the suspension are on these things that we call trucks. In Europe, they're bogies, but the cars will be shipped without those. So once they get to Baltimore, they'll have to be retrucked, and then they'll be brought by the freight railroads to New Haven. And the first cars will be here by the end of the year. Our plan actually calls for 2 cars to be shipped in each of 4 consecutive months, October, November, December, and January. All 8 pilot cars will arrive here by March. Now you can see by the car numbers here, and this one has no car numbers, that none of these cars that you're looking at now are the first 2 that are going to be shipped. So you can actually see that there's more than 2 cars that are being constructed and ready to go. While we await all 8 cars, a significant amount of static testing will take place on the car as they're delivered. We can test individual pairs of cars. However, there are some tests that require an entire train, 8 cars, in order to do that testing. When all 8 cars are here, we'll begin about 6 months of extensive over-the-road acceptance testing without passengers on board. The production cars will actually start building about 10 cars a month, and I think beginning in March that'll take place. The first 38 cars will come from Kobe, Japan, where these cars are now, and the last 262 cars will come from, they'll be assembled in Lincoln, Nebraska. And when the positive results from the static and dynamic initial testing is finished, we expect to have a rollout plan by midsummer and put the first cars into revenue service by the end of next year, 2010. This procurement process, and I'll show you a picture of the interior of the cars now. The procurement process actually began in 2005 when a consultant was selected to develop specifications for this unique and very complex car, AC/DC. In July of 2006, Kawasaki was selected to build 210 cars, but by the time the contract was actually signed a month later, the order had then been expanded to 300 cars when MTA and CDOT appropriated additional funding. The total price for the 300-car contract is $713 million. And of course, we're eager for these cars to arrive, but we have to finish this, we have to begin and then finish this extensive testing in order to ensure that we have the best possible car for our customers on the New Haven line. Any questions?
Any questions? Thank you.
Yes.
I don't know if you know, but the busing that's going on right now to allow for the track work and for the bridge work, is that going to be finished in October? Does it look like?
No, Susan, I think it's a total of 6 weeks, which I believe we're in the second week, so it'll run closer to the end of November, Thanksgiving-ish.
Okay. And
we've got, I think we're putting in 10,000 ties.
yeah, it's a lot of work. A lot of work.
Switch, relocating the signal at Harriman, working on a couple of bridges. So trying to get as much done as we can in a short period of time.
I want you to know the busing is going very, very well. This is the first time that I've seen you use MTA Bus to this extent,
yes.
And it's a great partnership. I'm really happy to see it. It feels nice to keep the money in-house, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, we had a few growing pains. The first day, which was actually a holiday, we had traffic problems around
touchy.
The mall, and there was a traffic accident, so I think we delayed 4 trains the first day, but then we cut it in half the second day, and we had 0 delays. I think it was on Friday, Monday. We had a couple of yesterday, but they were for other reasons. So,
No,
yeah,
it seems to
finally,
be.
The bus operation is running very, very
It-
well, and yes.
And
this
it's just nice to see it.
This is our initial
It's family.
plan job for the MTA bus, but it's
Yeah,
going very well.
and let me, Susan, just
And-
to add, oh, go ahead.
So when all that work is finished, so sometime around Thanksgiving, I take it then that the outbound afternoon train will stop at the station rather than at the wooden platform? Because you're moving the signal?
Yes.
Thank you. I
Yes,
really
the answer is
appreciate
yes.
that.
Sure, that we'll be on the platform track.
Yeah,
not
we'll be on the
other one.
platform.
Yeah. So just to add, you hit something which we really haven't talked much about, but we have as you know, a major effort with particularly Long Island Railroad and all these joint initiatives. One of the things that we have done with MTA buses, we have a host of initiatives with them. Part of it is busing. They're doing some vehicle maintenance for us. We're looking at, they're going to do some work with us on, excuse me, on vehicle disposition. So we're looking to see where we can do more with them. And we just, in fact, last month kicked off the vehicle maintenance. And it's a 6-month pilot program. They will maintain our road vehicles, not the track stuff, but cars, the light-duty trucks, all the vehicles south of I-287 will be done in the Bronx in that facility there by Co-op City. And we'll see how it goes. And from that, we'll make a judgment. Because we too agree if we can do it in the family, it makes much more sense.
Ron, I've noticed riding some Hudson Line trains that maybe I'm wrong here, but it seemed like some of the CSR cars are coming in with a different upholstery color scheme. Am I correct on that? And that is not by any means designed as a criticism. I think they look wonderful.
Yeah, let me answer that. The answer is yes. It's part of our in-house program, which actually Ron's folks aren't doing, Bob's folks are. We are redoing all the upholstery. We had one coloring scheme which wasn't exactly what we wanted to do for all the cars, and so we're in the process of changing that over so that the interior will look like an M7. It's basically the M7 color scheme. When we're done with the program, which is in a couple of years, we will have an M7 color scheme for the M3s.
Great.
Yeah.
The reason I say great is because I think it also signals to our customers that something has happened.
Right.
If you just keep using the same old colors, they don't
Right.
really understand that.
I think that's a lesson we've learned in some of our other CSR where we haven't done that, and people don't realize we've rebuilt the car because it looks the same.
Just getting back to the busing issue, I think the other thing in the long term is that we really have to look at regional busing, because when you get up even into our neck of the woods, we have busing situations that go within county, so I can get from Poughkeepsie to Beacon, but to get from Poughkeepsie to Newburgh is a problem. So it's been mentioned by a couple of our people up there that regional busing should really be something that we at the MTA should look at in the future.
Would you speak a little louder? I can't hear you.
Yeah, at some point in time in the future, we have to look at regional busing that will go all the way to Poughkeepsie and across the river. Okay, monthly safety report.
Good morning. I'll summarize the safety results that are in your books beginning on page 49. These are results through October. During that period, we had an additional 39 injuries compared to the same period last year, a 33% increase. Our lost time and restricted duty cases indexed to work hours were up from 1.1 to 2.3 injuries per 200,000 hours worked. And our FRA reportable injuries were up, again, indexed to work hours from 1.9 to 2.8 per 200,000 hours worked. The customer injuries on page 51. During this period, there were 58 fewer customer injuries this year compared to last year, a 30% decrease. Adjusted for ridership, that's a decrease of 28% from 3.6 injuries per million rides to 2.6 injuries per million rides. And the cases classified as FRA reportable was down by 50% from 21 last year to 12 this year. I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Yeah, thank you. Maybe this has been raised in the past, but it just seems like '08 was an anomalous year relative to the years before and now 2009. Is that correct?
In terms of the improvement in 2008?
And 8, yes.
The result? It was an extraordinary year, yes. I think if you look at the graphs, you get a better context in terms of the longer-term trend. It's somewhat similar to the ridership story in a sense. We had, very large decreases last year. We're giving back some of that this year. Actually, we're hoping August was not a good month, but September and October so far have been consistently better. So I'm optimistic that at the end of this year, we will actually be somewhat lower than we were in 2007. So again, the long-term trend hopefully will continue to be downward. One area where that may not be possible at this point is with our lost time cases. But the overall injury counts and the FR injury counts are in line with a kind of a long-term trend line through the last several years. Kind of discounting last year is extraordinarily good.
Thanks.
Any other questions? MTA, please.
Good morning. Along the same lines as what Mark just said, our numbers continue to decline, so that is a good aspect that we continue to work through the year. Along the lines of continuing our work with Metro-North various departments to provide a safe environment for the commuters, continue to do that. And the only other thing I have today, Susan, just so you know, aware, we contacted all the local police agencies in Orange County prior to that busing plan to go into effect so that they're aware of any delays where they see MTA bus up there, they know what's going on. And that's all I have. If anybody has any questions, I can answer them.
I will tell you that seeing MTA bus gets a lot of commentary because we're not used to that up there.
Yeah.
A lot of bears, but not many MTA buses.
Any other questions? Okay, information items. First thing is our inventory report.
Well, operating budget?
Oh, the operating budget.
The materials were distributed?
Distributed
Yeah.
and...
Any questions or any issues? Okay. Inventory report. Let me speak to that for a minute. This is our annual report, and so I think it's relatively self-explanatory, and it points out why our inventory has grown over the last 5 years, plus it shows how it's coming down now over the last couple of years as we're taking a variety of actions. But what I wanted to spend a minute on is just highlight for you the different initiatives we have in this area. Because as you well know, with money being very tight the way it is, one place where we are looking to save whatever we can is in the area of purchasing and inventory. It's an obvious place. We buy a lot of stuff, and it's our best opportunity, or one of our best opportunities to save some money. So we have, under the direction of Ray Burney and Anthony Bombay, Anthony's over there. Is Ray here? Yeah, there's Ray's here. So we have a host of initiatives that I wanted to kind of highlight so you're aware of how we're approaching this. The first part of it is, and it's what you've heard a lot of us talk about, is all the joint initiatives with Long Island Railroad and with the other agencies. And so this is something we continue to expand upon. We've now expanded very heavily into the M&W area. We've done the M&V area. And we will continue to focus to see where we can get the economies of scale from joint procurement. Second thing we are doing is we set up the contracts which we talked about a few months ago on the OEMs for the M7s. We've set up just-in-time delivery now, so we don't have to take things into inventory. Some of the deliveries will be just-in-time as we need them. Clearly, we're balancing there the ability to provide reliable service, timely repair, versus the savings in a just-in-time environment. We also, with the help of MTA Audit, have completely reviewed how we're doing M&W inventory. We have made major improvements in that area, and we're going to continue to do so, both in controls and also getting rid of things we don't need. in terms of scrapping and selling certain things, which would help us get some amount of money. We also are looking at a new way to forecast requirements in our M&V department. Clearly, one of the best ways to save money is to have a better sense of exactly what we need going forward, so we can then buy to the different levels. So we have a major initiative to improve that. And finally, one of the things that the storeroom folks have done an excellent job on is that while over the past 2 years, while we've had to expand the storeroom capability, for example, there's a new store, these two shops have new storerooms. We haven't eliminated anything. We still need the existing storeroom in Harmon. But what they've been able to do is, by looking at how we're managing our storerooms, have been able to expand the coverage where we needed it. We had this last year in New Haven. They expanded coverage without adding any positions. And they've been doing it by reallocating the management time, reassigning people from one location to another. So it's been a good initiative in terms of providing more service without any cost. So those are some of the things we're doing. We'll keep focused on inventory. We think this is a really critical area as we go forward over the next few years. And any questions, be happy to answer them.
Well, I can tell you that having been weaned by Lillian Affinito in regards to inventory, I think she'd be happy the initiatives that we're taking. Because I remember coming to my first meeting, and inventory was the first topic that we talked about, and how it was so large, there was money sitting on the shelves. So we've come a long way.
Right. Good. Thank you.
West of the Hudson schedule.
Personally, apologize. We don't have a memo written up because we just finalized within the last day or so, and we'll get that out to you in the next day or so. There's some minor schedule changes that are going into effect for our customers west of Hudson on November 8th. First, we mentioned that there's work going on at Harriman Station with replacement of the interlocking. When that's done, we are going to be able to take 1 minute out of almost, but not quite all, every westbound train. The ones we're not able to take time out is the ones that have a meet further west, where the eastbound trains is not changing, so the schedule will stay the same westbound as well. But every other train will have 1 minute of reduced running time westbound. Second is that a late night inbound weeknight deadhead is going to be livened up by New Jersey Transit. We're always looking to run them with passengers on them rather than run them as deadheads over there, like here, if it makes sense. So they're going to liven it up. It's a very late night train, at least Spring Valley after 11 o'clock at night. But for whoever wants to use it, the train's going back to Hoboken, and now it'll carry passengers. And finally, Amtrak is doing their own concrete tie replacement program. They're moving into a new phase in the fall. The work will continue. That's leading to a bunch of changes on the Northeast Corridor. That affects our customers, the connections they get in Secaucus to go to from Penn Station. And there are going to be, I'll say, winners and losers by up to 11 minutes in both directions. So some connections at Secaucus will get shorter by up to 11 minutes, and some connections, particularly off-peak, some connections get shorter, some connections get longer because of the way they're moving the corridor trains around. Our trains are not being affected. It's just the corridor connections. Finally, just a customer service note. At the request of the Metro-North Rail Commuter Council, we're putting a box in our Port Jervis-Pascagoula Valley timetable that lays out for our west of Hudson customers their ability to for cross-honoring of their tickets on the Hudson line and how that works on the Hudson line. Jersey Transit has agreed to put the same note or a comparable note in their Pascagoula Valley and in their main Bergen Port Jervis line schedules as well in the fall. So just a little bit more information for customers who want to come over to the Hudson line. It explains, we've had the issue in the past that if I have a ticket, for example, from Spring Valley, if I have a ticket to Penn Station, it's good from Terrytown, but if I have a lower price ticket to Hoboken, I have to pay a little step up to use it from Terrytown. The ticket's only good as far as Irvington because of the price issue that we always have with optional acceptance. So we're going to put that clarifying language in the timetable for people's information. As well, some people may not even be aware that they can, if they need to, they can use it on the Hudson line.
Right. It works both ways in that it allows people to comprehend the rules that can favor them, but also it keeps things straightforward so that the conductors don't have a battle.
Right. So we're going to put that in, as I said, in our timetables, and NJT will put it in theirs.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Any questions? Okay, there are no action items. We have 10 procurements totaling $23,959,727. Can I get a motion and a second before discussion? Okay, discussion.
Yeah, let me highlight a couple of things. First, on the joint procurements, we have 2 joint procurements this go-round that we are heading up. One is for the LRAM rail grinding, which we would ride the Long Island Railroad contract. The other is the exercise of a 2-year option with choice distribution. This is for the common hardware fasteners. This is the multi-agency contract that covers all MTA agencies, including transit and buses, Long Island, and ourselves. Also, we had three other procurement actions run by other agencies that affected Metro North. New York City Transit is doing a multi-agency procurement for track parts, which is an OEM, so we'll be part of that. Bridges and Tunnels is doing one for preventive maintenance to overhead rolling doors at different facilities. We're part of that. And Long Island Railroad is doing a joint procurement to support, the Harsco equipment to maintain that equipment, and we're part of that. So there's a host this month. With respect to Metro North, we have, as Jim mentioned, 10 procurements. It's about $24 million. I want to just highlight really 2 items, which were the ratifications for you. One ratification is for the fiberglass, for the cast iron brackets for the Park Avenue Tunnel. What we are doing here is, as you may recall, because of the fires we had, third rail fires, because of the salt in the water coming down from Park Avenue onto the tracks, and we'd have that every winter, we put in fiberglass brackets. And those brackets is the right thing to do. We did that, we think, Bob, 5 or 10 years ago?
Yeah, it was close to 10.
All right, 10 years ago. Some of those brackets are now cracking. So what we are doing is we have to, on an emergency basis, replace those brackets, and we are using the metal brackets. We need to purchase more metal brackets so we can complete that replacement. Simultaneously, we are designing a new fiberglass bracket because we need the fiberglass to stay away from the track fires, and we have funding in the next plan for those fiberglass brackets. When they come in, these brackets will then be used out on the regular territory where you don't need fiberglass. So it's a matter of placing them in for a couple of years in the tunnel until we can get them out and use fiberglass again. The other emergency procurement is, I think you're familiar, we had the series of collapses in Middletown, as I recall, is either 2 or 3 over the summer and fall. And so these are a series of procurements that cover the repairs, including those being made now, which is the final set of repairs, so that roadway will be repaired and be brought back to service. We anticipate, I think, mid-November. Is that we should be done by then?
The Bailey bridges are gone now.
Okay.
We have a temporary road in, and we should be finished by Halloween. The contractor should be out of there by the first week in November.
Yeah, okay. And so we'll have, for winter, we'll have the parking lot access fully back.
I went by there last week, and first of all, I think you all did a great job in preventing a bigger catastrophe from what we already had. And secondly, it really is looking very good. And this, I'm hoping, is the end of this story.
Us too. So those are the ones I'd want to highlight. Any questions?
Yeah, Howard, under competitive procurements, you have this Jacobs Civil Consultants.
Right.
Now, this was it appears to be an extension of the canopies over
Right.
the
Right.
Harmon and Fishkill stations. On the original design, why was this left out? Or was it noticed?
No, it was left out. There was a financial concern when we first designed those projects, and so because of financial concerns, we did not, as part of the rehabilitation, expand the canopies. One of the goals that I have is wherever we can, we want to expand the canopies, fill in areas between steps. We have discontinuous canopy in places, which you'll see where, it's covered, the stairway is covered, then there's a gap for 20 feet or 100 feet, and then we have a canopy again. And the goal is to eliminate those. The reason is first of all, it's customer convenience, that they're not having to put their umbrellas up or getting in the snow. And just as importantly as safety, is that by putting in the canopies, we will greatly make the platforms and the stairs. You may notice we now always enclose the stairs. That's something we started about 10 years ago. It's a major safety improvement for all the customers, and you get a significant reduction in customer injuries. So at the time, we didn't have the money. We now have that ability, and so what we want to do is have it designed, and then when we go out for bid for this project, this will be included.
All right, I can see because of the safety thing, but to leave something like that out in the beginning is not such a good idea.
I agree with you.
But
So we have
also,
it
too,
covered.
now, this is just for the engineering design on this thing, correct? This 150,000 or whatever it is?
Right.
It's not for the construction of it.
No,
so
we
that's
haven't
going to
gotten-
add a considerable
Yes.
amount of money onto the
Well,
project.
I'm not sure it'll be considerable. We're going to go out for bid. We'll find out.
Okay.
In the scheme of the project, it's not going to be that considerable.
All right.
Any other questions? Okay, I need a vote. All of approval? Any opposed? Carried. No executive session needed. Monday, November 16th, 2009, at 8:30 a.m. here.
Very good. Thank you. Come on.